collection accounts and dealing with collectors, I get a question a lot of times that says, should I pay? Well, that's really between you and the good Lord. But let's talk about the consequences either way. If you don't pay those accounts, can they sue you? Yes, they could sue you. They could serve you with papers, take you to court, win a judgment against you. Depending on what state you're in, they could garnish your wages, so on and so forth. But there is a process through that whole thing. Now, if you're already making payments on it, some people ask me, should I stop making payments? Depends. You know, there's different consequences which way you go. I'm not going to tell you exactly what you should do. I'm just going to give you some different examples and let you make that decision. If you don't pay the accounts, will they come after you? Will they sue you? Who knows? For instance, even in my own case, I had 5 credit cards that all went to collections, got a lot of harassing phone calls, a lot of letters. Only one of the companies, which happened to be American Express, decided to go through with a lawsuit. They had somebody come to my door. I didn't know who it was. Somebody showed up at my doorstep, rang the bell. I answered the door. They said, hey, are you Anthony Glass? Yes. And they actually served me with a lawsuit to take me to court. Now, in those papers, though, I had the chance to rebuttal that. And so I did and just said, basically, I disagree with this collection agency, with American Express. Sent that back to the courthouse. Then the courthouse then sends that back to American Express attorneys to decide whether or not they want to pursue a trial with me. Well, in this particular case, they never did, okay? So I never went to court. To this day, never have a judgment on my record. The account is still sitting there as a charge-off, still sitting as a derogatory, what am I trying to say, in collections. And to this day, I'm not going to pay it. What I'm waiting on is the statute of limitations. In most states, it's 4 years. There is a statute of limitations on debt collection. It means this is how much time they have to actually take you to court, sue you in that time period. So they can't come after you 20, 30 years down the road. Most states, it's 4 years. Some are 3 years, some are as much as 6 years, but usually about 4 years. You have to check out your different states. And I'll put a website down here that you can look up to see what the laws are in your different states. But what I do is wait for the statute of limitations and take my chances, and that goes back to my other videos of whether or not I should declare bankruptcy. So I would personally wait out the statute of limitations. Hopefully it goes past that 4 years, or again, depending on what state you're in. Now they can't legally do anything to collect. Now they might still call you and harass you and send you letters. Obviously, you might as well just pick up the phone and just say, hey, statute of limitations has run out, good luck on collecting, and that's the end of it. So if you do have collections on there and you do start paying again, here's another thing. So they might call you up or send you a letter, and you think, or you send them $100 or $50 to kind of shut them up for a while. The problem with that is it resets the date of last activity on that account. So if you hadn't made a payment for possibly, let's say, a couple of years, and now you even pay them just $10 or $20 over the phone, because somebody says, well, I'll make sure they don't call you or send you any nasty letters for a while, and you just want to get them off your back. The problem with that is now you just reset that statute of limitations another 4 years, okay? So if you haven't been paying on a collection, then don't. Just stop. Don't bother to pay that right now. Obviously, let's see what we can do as far as getting it deleted from the credit report. Now, another thing is, if we get that item deleted from your credit report, the debt doesn't go away. It's still there. They can still call you. They can still send you letters. They can still take it to court, and they can still get a judgment. So just because I get it deleted from the credit report doesn't mean that the debt's gone away. It just means the reporting of it is, and obviously that's what we're trying to do to get you back on your feet, get more credit worthy, and go out there and get credit again. So, should you or shouldn't you pay? Again, that's between you and the good Lord. Ethics, morals come into that, whether you should or shouldn't. In my situation, I had used my credit cards to buy lumber, to build homes, doing a lot of real estate investing, and those homes went upside down. As far as I'm concerned, the banks caused that. They got their bailout money. As far as I'm concerned, they've been paid back. So I don't have any ill effect as far as not paying those off and waiting out the statute of limitations. I mean, I didn't have the money for a number of years anyway, so how am I going to pay them back? Okay. As far as I'm concerned, I paid them back in our taxes, which goes to the government, which went out to them in a bailout. So that's my personal take on it. You guys do what you want, if you're going to pay them or not. Now, the other question I was asked was, how do I stop the harassing phone calls? Okay. Now, they can only call you, they can call you as many times as they have to get a hold of you. Once they get a hold of you and you ask them, this is what you should tell them, is here's my mailing address, put it in writing, don't agree to it, you don't have to deny anything, but just basically say, I'm not sure what you're talking about, I don't know who you are. That's a big one, how do you even know this is the actual company? With all the scams going out there on the internet right now, what if it's just somebody, fishing for information, trying to steal your identity, or just get you to send them a check in the mail, and it's not even the actual company that you owe. So that's where you have to be very careful as well too. So what I would say, and have done in the past, is say, listen, I don't know who you are, I'm not doubting you're not them, but I would prefer if you put that in writing, send me a letter. Now, as far as calling here, don't call here again. If you persist in calling me again and again and again, I will have my attorney draft up a letter, which is called a cease and desist letter, and send it to you. So you get their address and tell them you're going to send them a cease and desist letter. Whether you have an attorney or not, that's not the case. You're going to get this letter, and I'll have a link on here too to get a copy of this letter, so you can download it and you can fill in your particulars and send it off to them as well for that account. So that's how you would hopefully stop the annoying or harassing phone calls. Another question I get is, can I settle for less? Of course you can. You got to remember that if you're dealing with a collection agency, they probably bought the debt from the original creditor for like 10 cents on the dollar. So if it was $1,000 you owed, they bought it for $100. So why pay them their $1,200, $1,300, $1,400 they're asking for when you can settle for less? 9 times out of 10, they will take a lesser amount. Now, I'm not saying they're going to take 20 cents on the dollar. They might want 30 or 40, or 50. And you can go back and forth and kind of play that negotiating game with them. Play hardball. They play hardball with you, right? They don't have any heart. They, to work at these companies, they take your heart out the day you start. So play hardball with them. Make them an offer. If they don't accept it, just say, okay, sorry, I'll call the next company up and offer them the same amount. Have a nice day. Click. Hang up the phone. They'll call you back. They'll send you another letter. Trust me. Okay, this is not the last time. Or a lot of times you get those letters, hey, this is your last opportunity. We are willing to settle your debt for 50%, 50 cents on the dollar. That doesn't mean you have to take it. It's not your last opportunity either, okay? You think that if you don't respond to the letter, they're not going to call you or send you another letter in the future, that's it, they're going to stop? No, or they threaten you and say, oh, we're going to take you to court, we're going to sue you. Go for it. That takes a while, like we talked about earlier. So make them an offer if that's what you want to do. Another thing you want to do is when you finally agree to that amount that you want to settle for, then you want to go one step further and ask them another favor and be nice with them. Try and be courteous as much as you can, because you start yelling and screaming and going off the handle, they're not going to help you. And they might not give you that offer, that nice offer that you were wanting, okay? So what you want to do is ask them to delete. Say, if I pay this amount we agreed to now, 30 cents on the dollar, whatever, I would like you to do me a favor and ask the credit bureaus to delete it from my credit report. Now, you might be dealing with some flunky in a cubicle reading a script off a computer screen, so they might say, oh, we can't do that, or maybe that's on their script that says, no, you're going to have to contact the bureaus yourself. That's not true. They can contact the bureaus and they can have it deleted. So you might have to go up the food chain a little bit and talk to a supervisor that knows what you're talking about. Now, if they finally still come out and say, well, we can't do that, it's not that they can't do it, they won't do it. They don't want to do it, okay? And they don't have to do it. There's no law that's stating that. But obviously you can say, well, listen, I'd like to pay you. This is the agreement I'd like to make. I'm not going to pay this if you're not going to delete it. That's another tactic you can use. They still might call your bluff and they might not delete it, or accept your offer then. So, that's a fine line you have to ride, but it doesn't hurt to ask them if they would delete it. Obviously, if you get a letter like that, send it off to us. We'll put it in with your disputes and get that deleted from your credit report as soon as possible. So whether or not they do or don't, we'll continue to dispute that, try and get it removed from the credit report. But you can settle for less, and I definitely would advise that. All right?